and we're trying to
Hi, Shopsy. It's Joe Schrager. Yeah. Listen, your Zoom. Oh, it's not Shopsy. It's not talking. Okay, never mind.
What?
Good evening. Eric and Gail, I like that background. You guys are muted.
We're waiting for someone to open the door.
That is great. You guys are classic. Wow, Eric, is that your IT background at work?
Hey, I'm dangerous with Zoom.
That is pretty funny. Wow, very tasteful. I like it. You have a green board, or are you just doing virtual background?
No, I just put up the virtual background, and I never gone out to buy a green board or whatever you call it, green screen.
Green screen, right? That's what a green screen, right? My computer
Yeah.
tells
Still
me
waiting
that
for the
your
webcam,
bandwidth
right?
is
What-
low. Right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? So I see we have Eric and Gail Stern. We have Gita Farbman. Good evening. We have Zelda Bush. Good evening. And I see we have Joe Schrager. And there's one other number there that I do not recognize. But welcome everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. And I'll give it another 60 seconds before we formally begin. Everyone doing okay? Zelda, how are you feeling?
Good.
Feel good. Okay, stay good. Well, do you get on every night for Zoom?
I try to, yes.
Good for you. God bless you.
I just saw a funny video with it from Israel when they were
Yeah.
he was calling his mother and trying to teach her how to get on Zoom. It was so funny.
Yeah, I saw the one too. That was
Did
hysterical.
you see that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But it was really nice to see how much patience he had for her. It was really nice. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. What'd you say?
I said I could identify with that when I was trying
Yeah.
to learn my phone.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're on every night, so you're doing something right.
Oh, this, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, following our form from last week, I want to begin with sharing with you a video. I guess last week's genre of video we would call inspirational, maybe motivational. I don't know. But today's video is not inspirational. It's not motivational. It was just a video that I got of of kind of these Zoom mess ups, and I was laughing hysterically from it. So I figured, what a great way to start our class by sharing it with you. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and share screen, share computer sound. Okay, let's see here. Can you guys see this?
Mhm.
Okay, here we go.
Got everybody? Thanks for hopping on, guys. We'll try and keep this quick. Update us on last week, how that went.
As far as an update with news, everything was travel. Is the bad.
You're cutting out a little bit, and we've lost him. Okay? Oh, Dave, are you frozen?
I got you. Oh, you know I
Okay,
did.
I thought I mentioned last week the jokes aren't playing as well on here. So, Rick, we know you're not in space. Guys, please. Jim, what do you got for us? You're on mute, Jim. What's in the background? You've got a lot of...
You won?
Go back on mute. We'll get an update later.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on mute.
Man, I wish I could zoom away from my boss right now, am I right?
Jim, you're not on mute now.
What?
Okay? On a side note, I would just like to point out how attentive that Robert has been this whole meeting. I appreciate that. And that's the kind of thing that is going to get you guys raises at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked if I'm ever up by noon.
All right, you guys be able to see that?
Right.
That's just a classic. Okay, any of you see that before?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I'm glad to share new content with you. I'm sure you guys get a lot of content in all your feeds throughout the day. All right. So the topic of tonight's class is how moral is your moral compass, and I think that every every Jew, every human being has a moral compass. We have to, sometimes it gets layered over by what other people think. Sometimes it gets layered over by pressures, and we kind of want to conform to certain worldviews and so on and so forth, but everyone has a moral compass. So this title, I wouldn't say is really specific to tonight's topic, but it's really specific to these kind of discussions we're going to have. So I have one, and if we have time, a second very interesting dilemma that I want to share with you, both having to do with Jewish savviness. All right, so if you look at the news, you see that Jews have come up with a lot of great techniques, inventions. We've made it to a lot of the top, the Fortune 500, and we're doing pretty good out there with the brains. Unfortunately, when we screw up, it gets plastered all over the news as well. But be that as it may, I want to share with you two different true stories that happened, and I want to hear I want to hear the way you think. I want to hear the way you rationalize, and most of all, I want to hear your moral compass. So here's story number one. A fellow named Dan bought himself probably one of the most lost items, I would say, in US. What would you say is one of the most lost items?
Respect.
No, an item purchased at a store. You're right, Gita. But an item purchased at a store. I would say if you had to look up what are the most lost items, maybe in cabs and Uber.
Typewriter.
What'd you say?
The typewriter.
Typewriter?
Cell phone.
He probably doesn't even know what that is, Gina.
I think I know. I think I noticed. It's another thing that I call my wife, and I need her to type up an essay for me.
Oh.
That's not really true. I type it out myself. So I think one of the most, you're right, cell phones are up there, wallets are up there. One of the most lost items in the U.S. are umbrellas.
That way.
Lost items are umbrellas.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think if you look up, I haven't Googled it, but I would imagine it's up there. People leaving in cabs and Uber trucks, Uber cars, whatever it is. So there's this fellow who's just really upset with losing all of his umbrellas. Kept buying new umbrellas, losing them, buying them, losing them. So he came up with what we call in Yiddish a chap. Anybody know what a chap is?
You chop something. You understand it.
You understand it, but a chap is like something like something genius. He came up with an innovation. Okay. So basically, he bought himself an umbrella on Amazon for $10. So this umbrella cost him $10. And on the umbrella, he put a note. He said, "This umbrella cost me $10. If I lose it, don't bother returning it. Just send it to just send $1 to the following address." All right. So he puts this note on the umbrella. I bought it $10. You're getting a bargain. Don't bother, calling the cab. Who was in the cab before you? Look it up. Don't bother with that. Just send $1 to the following address, and it's your umbrella. All right. Sounds like a good idea. So listen to what happens.
Not going to get him much, but okay.
Listen to what happens. Dan promptly lost his umbrella, and over the next 2 years received no less than $75 in the mail.
Oh my gosh.
75 single dollars. Okay,
Wow.
that's how many times this umbrella had gotten lost. Okay. Now we're going to split the question into two questions, okay? So question number one, we're going to make you the finder. Okay? You're the finder. You come across this umbrella, you step into an Uber car, and you look at the floor, and there you see an umbrella. And you see this umbrella, it says, if lost, send $1 and it's yours. So the question is, can you assume that this was lost from the original owner, and therefore, when you're paying $1 to his, or maybe it was already lost 5 or 10 times. So why would you be giving $1 to the original owner, to his address, if it already passed hands a couple of times and he's no longer the owner? That's question number one. Question number two is Dan allowed to keep all this money? Because he only paid $10 for his umbrella. And now he's making $75, more than 700% on his purchase. Those are the two questions. So this is called the money making umbrella, or call it the jackpot umbrella. And I want to hear you guys chime in with any comments, arguments, counter arguments, full blown Zoom fist fights, you name it.
I don't know about the guy that started the whole thing, but you would think that after the first person, they changed the sign on the umbrella so that it would go to them next time instead of, or something in that idea, so that they wouldn't keep going and switching, giving this guy another $1 each time the next person loses it.
Or the first person who found it should have taken the sign off.
So
So
one
he
second.
sells the $1 and it's over.
1 second, Gail. I missed the beginning of your comment. I want to just ask Gita one more thing on her position,
sorry.
and then I'll come back to you. No problem. So Gita, you're saying that they should have taken off the thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you went to take your $1, you're done with it. Or change it and say, put your name on there now and say, change this to 0. I paid 0 amount. I found the umbrella. If you want it, keep it, whatever, that kind of thing. But to keep the sign on there each time, and after the first or second person, I would say, what are they, nuts?
Right.
Why keep the sign on there?
So I want to. There's two ways you can go with that statement. Okay. So you're 100% right. When you buy an umbrella, you should have taken off the sticker, and the person left it on. So therefore, what? Therefore, can we assume that this was just lost from the original owner, and therefore we would have to send him $1 because it's his, and now I could own it? Or therefore, hey Adam, good evening.
Hello, Moshe. Sorry
Welcome.
I'm late. I apologize.
No, welcome on the late night show. We're so happy to have you.
Glad to be here. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, so I'm going to if you guys don't mind, I'm going to back up and give Adam a very quick version of this episode. Okay, Adam, what I'm doing now is I'm testing your moral compass. Okay, and I understand that some people's moral capacity may have declined over the past couple of weeks. It's been tough. I get it. I totally get it. Okay, but here's the story. Okay, so we're speaking about Jewish ingenuity. All right,
Okay.
We've had some pretty good impact on the world in our couple thousand years here, right? So this fellow,
I've heard rumors.
You heard rumors, yeah. So this fellow's name is Dan, and Dan is just so frustrated at the fact that he keeps losing his umbrellas. Okay, and he lives maybe lives in London, and you got to have an umbrella all the time, and he just keeps losing his umbrellas. So therefore, he comes up with a very genius thing. He buys himself a $10 umbrella, and he writes on the umbrella a note. I paid $10 for this umbrella. If you find it, you could send $1 to the following address, and the umbrella is yours. Okay, that's what he did.
Okay.
And this way, hopefully, maybe he won't get all his money back, but maybe he'll get something back if he loses it, or when he loses it. Okay, now this is what happens. After he purchases his umbrella, a very short while later, Dan loses his umbrella, right? There's your wow factor, right? He loses his umbrella. Now, what happens is, over the next 2 years, Dan gets $75 in the mail.
One at a time.
One at a time, saying, I found your umbrella, here's your $1, and thank you for the umbrella. Now, the question is twofold. Question number one is Dan allowed to keep all this money? Because really, once it passed from him to the next person and they sent $1, he's no longer the owner of this umbrella. right?
Indeed.
This umbrella now belongs to finder number one. And now he's accruing dollar after dollar after dollar from an umbrella that's not his. That's
Got it.
question number one from Dan's perspective. Question number two, from your perspective as the finder. Okay, you find this in an Uber car one wonderful rainy day, and now you want to know, do I have to send $1 to this address? Maybe that's already passed hands 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times, and therefore, why would I send the original owner $1 when it's not his anymore?
Got it.
So the question is on Dan, and the question is on us as the finder. So Gita had a comment, but I want to now go to Gail. I want to hear what Gail had to say.
Well, my thing was either he should, after the first guy found it, he should have taken off the tag or the note or whatever if he kept it. And if he didn't, he should have left it on the floor, and then I don't think he should have had to pay $1. He didn't want the umbrella, leave it there for the next person. And so I look at it two ways. Either that or.
So when the person paid that $1, right, ostensibly, we would presume that he wanted to acquire that umbrella. I mean, so why would he leave it in the Uber? Why would he leave it in the Uber car?
Right.
Why do you forget anything?
Maybe he forgot it, right? But then if he forgot it, who's the owner now? The finder or the original owner?
No, it's not the original anymore because he already gave up his thing when that first guy paid him the $1. He said, it's yours. So if it's his, then it's the next guy's umbrella. It's no longer his. And like you said, nobody should be able to pay him.
He is. Yeah, I agree with Gita because the transaction was, I am selling this for $1, and therefore it is worth $1, and so they have an umbrella regardless of what the original owner paid for it, and now all I am required to have for that is $1. That's it. Anything above and beyond that is he
gave up that choice.
Or did he? See, because now this is a good question, because the person who found it should have taken the tag off, unless he lost it too, or she lost it. So yeah, that is a very, I see the conundrum here.
You see the conundrum. So if I asked you, do you have to send $1 to that address now?
Probably, because you don't know that it's not the first person.
How would you know if someone's previously owned it or not?
Yeah.
Right. So you may have to assume that you are just the first finder. Right. Now let's say you're Dan. You're Dan. Are you allowed to keep all that money? Or do you have to just go through the bother of returning the dollars and returning all the $75 that he got, or 74?
Well, if he knows the address, I believe he would be obligated to return the $74.
Either that, or if he doesn't,
who's he going to return it to?
Well,
if he got $1 from someone, hopefully he has a return address.
Right.
I don't know.
If he doesn't, give it to charity.
So charity is a nice answer, but it's a little bit of a cop-out, right? Because the money really belongs to somebody.
For me?
The money really belongs to somebody. So to give it to charity is a nice thing to do.
Did you send me $1? Put an ad in the newspaper and say, did you send me $1?
Right. So it's again, you got to make sure that you're targeting the area where the finder lives, and you get the right paper, and it's very complicated to be able to get it to every owner, right? So, anybody else want to chime in before I give my my position or the rabbi's position? Zelda, would you like to say anything?
No, I don't understand where he got $75.
So I'll explain it again.
Nobody changed the tag.
75 people said $1, and I don't know.
So let's say there's fellow A, fellow B, and fellow C. Okay. Fellow A bought the umbrella, and he wrote the note on the umbrella. Anyone who finds it, give $1, send it to A's address. Okay, fellow B finds it, and fellow B sends $1 to his address because he wants to keep it now. Now it's his umbrella. Now fellow B loses it, and fellow C finds it, but when fellow C finds it, it still has the same note on it. So fellow C says, well, I want to keep this umbrella, so I'll send $1 to the original address. And that keeps happening with D, E, F, G until it's 75 people. You get it now?
I get it, but it just so.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. But one thing I can tell you is that I think all of us are going to buy umbrellas on Amazon tonight for $10.
Rabbi, I think the first guy,
Go ahead.
I think the first guy who found it should have sent the $1, taken the note off of it, regardless whether he wanted the umbrella or not, and that would have been the end of it. The guy would have got his $1, and that's it.
Either changes,
Unfortunately, he didn't, right?
but neither did C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth until 75, which is really like all these people not thinking.
Right, or either that, or they just lost it in such a quick time that they didn't have time. Just boom, boom, boom. I don't know, I don't know what happened. So let me share with you, Rabbi Zilberstein. So this question came to him, and Rabbi Zilberstein, rabbi in Bnei Brak, in the city of right outside of Tel Aviv, he had a very interesting answer. So, one point we have to understand before we go further is 2 points that we have to clarify. Number one is something cannot become ownerless until the owner makes it ownerless. Okay, so either I or you can make your item ownerless, right? In the Hebrew word for that is hefker, right? Before Passover, we make all of our chametz that we haven't found, that we haven't seen, that we didn't sell to a non-Jew. It's all hefker, it's ownerless, right? Like the dust of the earth. So, right? But you got to be the owner to do that. Okay, that's number one. Number two is when I am making an acquisition. Okay, so there's a seller and then there's a buyer. Okay, and when an acquisition is made, the buyer not only has to give the money, but they have to have full intent to acquire the object. Right? So if I go to a store and the store owner, let's say, passes me a bottle of wine, and I give him the money and I'm not sure if I want to buy it yet, even if he takes the money, if I didn't have intent to acquire the wine, the money may be his because I gave it to him already and he acquired it. But if I didn't have intent to acquire the wine, I'm not the owner of the wine yet. It's still his. So says Rabbi Zilberstein, when you buy a used umbrella, I think everybody said this, when you buy a used umbrella, you look for any identifying factors on that umbrella for the original owner, and you promptly remove it. Right? From the fact that each finder did not remove it, what they were saying is, I am not making an acquisition on this. I'm leaving this to the original owner. And therefore, every single dollar that Dan received in the mail, it's his because it's his umbrella.
It's legit. Wow.
It's legit. And when you find that umbrella, you got to, even though it passed 75 hands, but you still got to send $1 to Dan if you want to keep it because he's still the owner.
Huh.
But I would advise you to take the sticker off.
Yeah, that's what I thought in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so we have time for one more. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. This is again Jewish ingenuity. All right. So in a lot of shuls, before the holidays, they'll sell different materials needed for the holidays. Let's say, for example, Sukkot is coming up. In the shul, in the synagogue, you could buy a lulav, you could buy an etrog, maybe you could even buy, you could find a contractor to build your sukkah, right? Every Jew is an entrepreneur, right? So you could buy almost everything you could buy matzah in the shul, whatever it is, right? So this story takes place right before Hanukkah, okay? Now, what kind of materials do you need for Hanukkah?
Food.
Food, that's true.
Candles,
Candles,
dreidels.
chocolate gelt, right? There's a lot of stuff you need. So this fellow, he set up a little, peddler shop over there, and he had bottles of oil, and he had wicks, and he had glasses, and he even had those simple menorahs. He had a whole bunch of stuff, and people would come to shul. They would come to services. Oh, I need some oil. Buy some oil. Oh, I remember I need some candle. I need some dreidels. Whatever it is they needed, they would buy. The way it worked was each material, each item was in its own basket with its own little box saying the price. Okay? So there was a little basket of little bottles of oil. Okay? And the owner, this story takes place in Israel, the owner was charging 18 shekels per bottle of oil. Okay? So let's say there's 10 bottles of oil, right? And each one is 18 shekels. Okay. Now, Reuven comes along, and he comes to services, and he remembers, I need to buy oil. He reaches into his pocket, and lo and behold, he has no money. So he comes up with a great idea. He takes the sign that says 18 shekels a bottle of oil, and he changes the sign from 18 shekels to 20 shekels. And he waits until 9 people buy bottles of oil. Now, in effect, what he did was he brought an extra 18 shekels into the pot, and he took for himself a free bottle of oil.
Huh?
You understand that? Should I say it again? I'll say it again. So again, there's bottles of oil, and they're 18 shekels a bottle, right? He doesn't have 18 shekels. But what he decides to do is to change the price from 18 shekels to 20 shekels, an extra 2 shekels. So therefore, every guy who comes to purchase a bottle of oil is really paying 2 shekels over what the seller intended to sell it for. So he waits until 9 of those bottles. What's that?
Seller's not there?
Seller's not there. He left his wares there, and he left.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, I'm sorry. Important clarification. The seller is not there. It's an honor system. Everyone's trusted, and this person, he changes the price. People, 18 shekel, 20 shekel. What's a big deal? All right, it's convenient. I'll pay an extra 2 shekel, which is 50 cents, right? And now, by effect, he brought in an extra 18 shekel into the pot, and without having to spend any of his own money, he got a free bottle of oil. Everyone understand what this guy did?
Yeah,
now
he charged more than he was supposed to.
So now this guy goes home, and he lights his menorah, and he starts to think, maybe that wasn't really right. These people were obviously, they were willing to pay 20 shekel. They did it, right? No one was complaining about it. They did it. But I never really asked permission of the owner. And he started feeling very bad about it. Now I want to hear, what do you guys say? Did he do anything wrong?
Oh yeah, major time. I think he went with major time, and he cheated all those people out of 2 shekels each, so that he could get something for free.
Yeah, it's Talmudic. You're not supposed to sell something for more than it's worth unless you specifically state, I'm going to sell this to you with your full knowledge that I'm selling it to you for 2 shekels more than you would normally pay anywhere else. So
let me clarify that Talmudic statement. Okay, so you're correct that there is a prohibition to charge more than there's a certain bracket. You can't charge more than, I think, maybe more than a fifth of the value, but a shekel or 2 more, a shekel or 2 less, 5 shekel more, 5 shekel less.
That's not a fifth, right?
Right. I mean, there's got to be a competition, right?
But he wasn't selling his own materials; he was selling somebody else's materials.
Right, but in this case, nobody lost. The owner got his money, right? He sold all the bottles for the price he got the money that he expected to bring in return, and these people all willingly bought 20 shekel bottles. I'm just a smart guy here.
It's kind of like the one you did last week. It's like, it's like it's the person's not losing money, but at the same time, you're not doing the right thing.
Well,
Right.
I mean, listen, you're supposed to be in business, and I mean, if someone goes into business, no one goes into business to lose their shirt, right? They go into business to make money. So, but there is an allowable, to Moshe's point, there is an allowable range of what I can and can't charge. But so he didn't really, it doesn't sound like he did anything necessarily morally wrong. I don't know. That's a good one.
Okay. Eric and Gail, any
Changing the
I just think
price.
it's wrong. I mean, these other people are paying more than what they're supposed to pay.
But they're
It wasn't
agreeing.
his first of all, it wasn't his product to sell
okay.
because he was not the owner of the product. It was not his product to sell.
Good point.
So in essence, he stole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely have a valid point. But interestingly, when normally somebody steals, the victim is losing. Right? If I stole Eric's wallet, he's losing his wallet. Here, Reuven stole from the owner, possibly without the owner losing anything. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's like the
It makes sense for the owner, but the other people who paid more, they don't know they're losing, but they are losing because they're paying more than it was going for.
Okay, so I'm proud to say that you guys were all really on the money, but Eric and Gail got the closest. Okay, so there's an very interesting parallel that Rabbi Zilberstein draws from a case in the Code of Jewish Law. So if this fellow, Reuven, who did this shenanigan, if he was acting on behalf of the seller, then no problem, right? He's working under his license. He's working under his authority. And yet I can take your product and I can add money to it. If I'm granted authority, I could really do what I want, right? But the problem is he wasn't working under the seller's license, right? Essentially what he was doing, he was working on his own behalf, and he didn't have any right to gain profit off of somebody else's merchandise. Okay, now the Code of Jewish Law is a very interesting case. Imagine the following scenario. I know you have a house down on the shore. All right, you got a really nice house down on the shore, and you're not sure if you're going to go there this summer. You're not sure if the virus is going to clear up. You maybe want to just stay put, keep your social distancing, and last minute you decide you're not going to go down the shore. Now you have this place on the shore; it's yours, and you're gonna leave it vacant, right? Now I think that's ridiculous. You have a house on the shore; it's prime location, prime real estate. I'm gonna rent out your house. Unbeknownst to you, I put your house on Airbnb. I bring in a renter. They stay there for 3 nights and give me the money. Okay? I clean up the house, bring the cleaning service. You would have no idea. Anything wrong?
Same thing.
Yeah.
It's the
Same thing, right? So the Code of Jewish Law says that even though the Code of Jewish Law says there was no rental here, and it's important to stress that there was no rental contract, and therefore there was no rental. Therefore, the guy in the middle, this crook, he can't keep the money because it's not his. You can't profit off of someone else's merchandise. But neither can you, whose house this is, keep the money. You know why? Because you never made a contract. You never rented out your house. So this guy had a free 3-night stay at your shore home. So the money has to go back to him. So it says Rabbi Zilberstein, let's carry that over to our case. The owner who was selling his bottles of oil, he's got to return 2 shekels to each of those guys who bought oil from him. Now, really, the onus is on the crook to find out who those people were, because it's not going to be too easy, right? But at the end of the day, the money has to go back to them. Neither the seller nor the crook can keep that money, because they intended only to pay 18. The seller only intended to sell for 18 shekel. The extra 2 shekels they paid was not legal, and therefore they should get that money back. And if they can't locate them, the onus is now going to be on the crook to find out who they are and get the money back to them, and then pay the owner for the bottle of oil that he took.
They also have to add a fifth.
Would he have? No, because he doesn't have to. You don't have to pay more than you stole. Right? The mitzvah is to return what you stole.
Bible, it says a lot of times, and they'll have to pay a fifth of the whatever it was that was being stolen.
Right. So that primarily deals with stealing animals and using them, or stealing something and maybe selling it or slaughtering it and eating it. Right. Okay, so I'm glad to tell you guys that your moral compasses are still intact. You guys are doing great. Adam, you missed the introductory video, which was very, very comical, so I'm going to send that to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, and I wish you guys all a very good Shabbos, and I'm looking forward to seeing you same place next week.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Good class.
Take care, guys. Have a good Shabbos. Bye-bye.
You too.
Shabbos.
Bye-bye.